Was Gucci.
Berger Bros Podcast number 10.
Dang, 10 of these.
Made it to double digits.
And it's a very special podcast today.
Yeah, it's a milestone podcast.
Also because Josh lost the bet.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about it on the last one, but Josh owes me $100. Bitcoin went to 50K, and I said it was going to happen. I didn't know when, but I said it was going to happen. What did it go to, 49 or something, 48?
Oh, yeah, that's so crazy. It actually went to like 49 and like something. It barely crossed over 50.
It's tough, dude. It's tough. But I'm a man of my word.
We should have done higher stakes. We should have done like $10,000 or something. No, what we should have done is we should have done like a steak dinner.
All right, I'll still make you a steak dinner, buddy.
Oh, make me a steak dinner, dude. I want to go to Lucky's in Santa Barbara and get.
Dude, you're gonna get that used steak, the fucking shit on discount.
Like, you're gonna go to Ralph's and get a fucking
Ralph's that's just like
$14 steak that's been sitting out for 2 weeks.
It expires like tomorrow. Cook that shit on the grill, baby. You won't even know. Throw a little hot sauce on there.
Do a little butter fry. Did you so did you guys did you hear that Dave chick went and got him like a 14-year aged like Wagyu piece of steak when his moo bag exploded?
No way.
I was like a good job, President. You made some money for the family. Here's a steak.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because that was like the biggest, it was like the biggest crash, right? Crash. But the next day was one of the biggest buy moments.
Yeah.
Like forever. Everything was just like minimum 50% gains if you threw stuff into the right things.
Yeah.
So everyone just like had a fire sale moment. But then you go and listen to the news about, the top banks, but there was $1 billion sell-off and the top banks and holders did a $14 billion buy. So while everyone's butthole puckered, the big dogs were just coming in, just buying up all that liquidity. It was nuts.
Yeah.
I will say it is the hardest thing not to like see your bags lose 50, 60, 70% and not just be like, oh my God, I gotta just, it's like your brain is telling you that you need to fucking secure your money.
Yeah.
And so there were so many times where I was just looking at my shit. I was like, fuck, down 70%. God, what do I do? And I was talking, I had a bunch of conversations with Dave. Like we were on the phone like most of the day. And he's just like, you just got to just pretend like today doesn't even exist. Don't even look at your bag. Don't even look at your wallets. Like just go friggin' read a book and you'll look at it tomorrow.
Yeah, it's true.
And I
want to see the opportunities, but yeah, V-shaped recovery and, it's just a bunch
and we all knew that was going to happen. I mean, this wasn't our first rodeo. We even said it in the other podcast, like it just created like insane opportunities. And if you were smart, you had the day before, which crazy is the day before the markets were going crazy.
Yeah.
Like everything was up 100, 200, 300%. I mean, Moo 500. I think my Moo position was up. I want to say it's 10x or something from where I bought it. Or no, yeah, it was 12x from where I bought it, dude. It was crazy. And I took profits all the way up. So I had liquidity sitting there and I just kind of like rebought everything and added little portions to all the bags that I currently are holding because those are the projects that I believed in. And it was weird to see like, because Solana had come down so much. So when you're looking on like the Trojan bot, it would say your P&L would be one number, but your Sol P&L is another.
Yeah.
And because I paid so much Sol for these coins because it was up, at 190 or something or whatever it went to. But now it's down to 120. I actually like my gains were high.
Yeah.
And my SOL gains were up, but I was in the negative on the dollar amount. It was pretty weird.
And actually a couple of them that were like just trading sideways, I went and sold them even at a loss, but it was actually still break even at like how much SOL my even though like the dollar amount was down, but the amount of SOL that I paid for it was break even, and then I was able to move those into some assets that were able to pump. So
Or
I
just
did
leave it in SOL.
or leave it in SOL. Yeah. I actually did a good SOL buy because I was going to go buy a bunch of other, meme coins, and I didn't do it. And my SOL just kept on pumping. I was like, oh, well, same.
Well, that was what's crazy is if I even mentioned it in our chat. I was like, hey, dude, if you just sold all your coins right now into Solana, let Solana come up and then buy it all back that would have been the smartest move because you would have had 20. I mean, I was just looking because my SOL number was way higher, but the dollar amount was not as high.
Right.
And so
that would have been such a good move. Solana creators sell everything into SOL and then ride SOL up and then put it right back into those
30-40 SOL and it goes up, $70.
Yeah.
Or making some coinage,
a
couple grand. But yeah, it's interesting to just now the sentiment is everyone's psyching again, projects are cooking, the money's coming back in, ready for the next wave.
Well, it's funny because everyone I was getting messages like, oh my God, what's happening? What should I do? But when you zoom out a little bit on Bitcoin and Ethereum, it only went down 20%. So it wasn't that big of a deal, it was really the altcoins that just got hammered on. But ETH got hammered on. ETH was the big one that just got backhanded in that.
Yeah, ETH suffered the most, I think.
Yeah.
And
because it had just gotten that exposure from the ETF. So it just when the whole market was on a sell-off, those ETFs just absolutely beat the shit out of it.
Yeah. Did you guys see, do you guys follow, there's a Telegram news feed. It's called Tree News. And it's basically all crypto news headlines. And it tells you every day, they always say BlackRock, ETHA, daily ETH inflow plus 108 million. And then it will say Grayscale launches new crypto investment trust for Sui and Tau. It's just all the headlines, but the thing is it's cool is that it tells you about the inbound amounts that are going into here's one, BlackRock for August 1st was 91 million into their ETH ETF. Grayscale ETH daily ETH flows minus 133 million. So and the whole day before, pretty much the whole week before, it's just negative going into the ETH ETF. I don't know if that right. If that way, yeah. Negative means money's coming out of it. So you could see all these, I wouldn't even be surprised if it was going into one and then out the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
some sort of market
or out of one into the other and just them manipulating the intakes.
Well, actually, I heard that the ETH ETFs weren't big sell-offs. They held strong. All that, BlackRock didn't sell any of their bag. Fidelity didn't sell. They were all buyers during that, which is pretty interesting.
I'm not saying that they're selling I'm not saying that they're buying or selling. I'm just saying it's just showing what's going in and out of those ETFs.
Sure.
So
yeah.
See the volume of what's either being sold and what's being, added.
Yeah. Well, the other big news that just happened today is XRP just basically won their lawsuit or settled their lawsuit. And they reduced the fine from $3 million or 300 million down to 125 million, which is pretty significant.
Yeah, no, it went from 2 billion down to 125 mil. Yeah, it's crazy.
But I saw it, and then it rocket shipped up.
Yeah.
Is it still
Yeah,
sitting up there?
30% now. I think it came down just a little bit. It's a little bit of a sell the news, but it's up 20%. I mean,
Yeah.
I bought it at 55 cents, knowing this was coming. So
Yeah, luckily you didn't do your luckily when we were at the pool the other day, you canceled your futures position.
I didn't cancel it because I'm American.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, he's not even allowed to trade futures in.
I know, but you had it and then you canceled it, and then you got.
They wouldn't let me. It was the trade was there. It wouldn't let me do the trade.
I thought you had already. I thought it was already in. It was already in, and then you canceled it, and then you couldn't do another one.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah,
we were at the pool, and you're like, "What should I do?" I said, "Cancel that fucking thing," and then you were gonna get another one.
I would have gotten absolutely wrecked though.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You're glad.
Right. Oh, I'm glad. Oh, got it. Sorry, my internet's shitty right now.
Yeah, your internet's bad.
But
what's crazy about this XRP thing is that lawsuit's been going on for what, like
2 years,
5-6 years. Like,
is it that long?
It's at least 4 years because it was during the Trump administration.
Wow.
That it happened. And, they've been, I mean, it's got to be longer than that because, I mean, it's been trading sideways. There was a thing that said if you bought XRP in 2018, you'd have, you spent $10,000 on XRP in 2018. Today, you'd have $10,000 in XRP. Just been like a stable coin for just years.
Well, it went up crazy to like several dollars.
Yeah, no, it's just been gone up and gone
down. That was
down.
in 2018. That was like 2017.
Right. So if you bought it in 2018 and you sold it, it would have made a lot.
No, it had that boost when it happened in 2017, and then this has been the low. It was up at $4. It crashed Binance. People were trying to sell. People just, that one guy, the founder, became a billionaire. He was like on like the cover of Forbes magazine as like, I think he was the richest man in the world for like a couple minutes when it hit $4.
I'm the richest man in the world. Not anymore, you ain't. Psych. I'm gonna take that from you. Thank you very much. You ain't messing with Elon.
Well, yeah. Once the XRP lawsuit wraps up, that'll be a big day. You saw it today. I mean, just with them making that announcement, it went up 20%. So if you had entered into a leverage position at 40 cents XRP 2 days ago, that would have been a ripper. I mean, I saw a bunch of people in this one chat that I'm in who are posting, 1,000% leverage, putting like 20 to 50x leverage on XRP at 40 cents. It's like crazy.
There's a guy that I follow in a Telegram calls group, and he was, when the whole thing was crashing, he kept on trying to catch the bottom.
I know. He got wrecked.
He got wrecked, bro. He literally lost like 50 racks.
I saw. Are you talking about Bossman?
No, it wasn't Bossman. It was
Levi's was one of them.
No, it was Iced House Degenerate, I think.
Oh yeah. I
posting. He was, you're the one that told me about it. Yeah, he had one, and he was like, got like 4K.
I think he got one though. I think he ended up third time's a charm. I think he got wrecked twice.
He did good. He got 4K, and then he got -10, and then he got -4, and then he kept going.
Yeah, he ended up. No, then maybe it's another guy who ended up getting Solana at $110 50x.
And that was Marcel, bro.
Oh,
dude, Marcel,
he made 100 racks.
Dude, this Marcel guy is so fucking good. Like, I don't care what he does. I'm literally copying every trade he does, and I'm just throw everything that he's given to us has at least 1 to 2x if you were actively watching it. And the banana tape one, that thing was a 20xer. Dude, he called it early, and then I saw Wolf called it, and a bunch of guys called it. But yeah, I mean, apparently he got pulled over. Did you see that? He
No.
got pulled over. The cops got him.
For what?
Well, he's taped to its side of a fucking truck.
Oh, you mean the guy, the CTO who's taped to the side of the
CTO's
truck?
taped to its side of a van, live streaming down in New York City, dude. He had like 10,000 freaking people watching it on live.
Wow.
The coin went all the way up to friggin' like
It's about to go to all-time high right now.
Oh no, it's way past it, bro. It's at 9.8.
Wait, what? It's at 8.9, no?
Or no, oh yeah, it's 8.89, but it's bouncing between 9 and dude, this thing's gonna cook, dude.
I top blasted it.
400%, almost 400% in the 24 hours. It's just crazy. Like, I don't know. Did you ever see that movie Supermensch?
Yeah.
And did you see how that guy? What was the artist's name? I forget what his name was, but he had a concert in London, and they had sold no tickets. So they pulled a publicity stunt, and they took a picture of him with a snake covering his genitals, and put it on a billboard on a you know those trucks that have like billboards on both sides of them. It's just like kind of like a truck, and then it's got a bed and has like a T or like a TP on both sides, and you can put billboards on it. Well, they did that, and then they pretended to break down in the middle of like the biggest square in London, and he called up all his press people and had them come and take photos of it, and it became this big spectacle. It was on the news, it was in the papers, and they ended up selling out the concert in 24 hours.
Wow.
So it's like, dude, this guy's taking a page out of that book. It's like, go make a spectacle. Strap yourself to the side of a van, tell people to buy your shit coin, your meme token, and there you go.
We should basically get you a full spandex PKT outfit, and then just put one of those like parachutes on the back of you, and then just take you down the 405.
That
would be a spectacle. We'd
all go to jail, and it would be a huge spectacle. It'd be on the news. I'd be parasailing
back into the moon.
But that's what Wolf's doing, same thing with him wrapping his Lambo, his like special edition.
You mean Rex?
Well, I'm saying Wolf, like the crypto. Rex, on behalf of the project, wrapped his, Lambo, went and bought a special edition $450,000 Lambo and wrapped it, and is now gonna show up at Meme Coin LA this weekend with his Lambo, and they're sponsoring the entire event, and it's just gonna be a spectacle,
Are they really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So hopefully it pumps, because it just got absolutely clipped today by 20%.
Thing's a fucking stable coin.
The opposite of a stable coin. Every time it hits a ceiling, it gets wrecked, Like, you just got to be willing to sell it. Like, you got to be willing to swing trade it with conviction.
I just don't want to sell it because I don't want to like
miss the pump. Yeah, when it happens, it's going to be
absolutely. When it happens, it's going to rip.
I think the one thing we did notice, though, about this huge dump that just happened with the markets is that Wolf didn't go down.
Yeah.
Wolf didn't go down at all. Like, it barely went down past like 70. And that's crazy. That means the Jeters are almost out. So the next leg up is going to be, it's going to be heavy. Definitely going to get back up to 150 mil. But
I know. I just feel kind of silly not swooping up when it was down at 5. I was just like thinking about it. I was like, man, I should almost double down on this right now. But I'm already so deep in. I'm like, it's hard for me to just go and
look. The best way to trade Wolf is to just exit it at the different levels. Like it was at 91. That was the top. You could have sold it yesterday. Bought it back.
I tried to fucking swing this banana one, but I sold it, and then it just wrecked.
Banana's different. Banana's different because that thing doesn't have a mature chart. It's only a couple days old. So it's like you sold it at the all-time high. It's like that's not where you sell a brand new coin, Like a brand new coin at all-time high is in price discovery, which you sold it and it just 2x.
Yeah.
So that's different than a mature chart like Wolf that's almost 2 months old, and like what the levels are, and people get to those levels and clip it, and then where you can buy it back. But yeah, I haven't swing traded it either because I keep thinking it's gonna rip to the upside and it doesn't.
Yeah.
But look, there's tons of opportunity in crypto right now. I mean, most people aren't as active as we are trading it every single day. But there's clearly opportunity to take long positions as well and go on a ride. I wish people would have bought on Sunday when it was just an absolute train wreck on the markets, because then everyone's up 50% today.
Yeah.
And all those newbies who would have just entered into those positions at those levels, it's like most likely never going back there. And, you know, every time you look at your bag, you'll feel good about yourself because you'll be up 20 to 50% on a bare minimum. Everyone else is down a bit from your entry point, and we need a new catalyst to get up. And
but my thesis, you know, and I said this before, you know, I could have, you know, doubled my money on this, but my strategy that I'm trying to implement is to just go and get 30 to 40% gains like daily. And I got 3. Well, this trade actually took a little bit longer. I didn't get to trade it. It didn't exit until today. But yeah, I got 1 25% swing and 1 35% swing. And yeah, that's, you know, compound over a month. Like, that's real cash, you know? So
you keep doing that, you're going to make
tripping on it, that I didn't get the 4X, you know. That could have been like that thumb one, which was, you know, I took a 40% loss on, you know. So
you didn't sell it. That thing had so many opportunities.
Josh got spooked. He got spooked. And that thing was in bad shape. Me and Josh sat on the phone watching it for like almost 30 minutes. It got wrecked. And then when it got back up to a level, he's like, I'm out. He sold
it got wrecked. I bought it 2X, sold completely out. And I was on the plane and I had an internet, and I made like a couple $100 just trading. I was just like watching the charts, reading on the airplane. And I saw it get absolutely just demolished. And I saw it way down there, and I just ended up buying, and I just set a limit order sell, and the thing hit. And I was like, yes, dude, got out of this thing.
That's what you got to do.
That's you got to, especially with these friggin' new ones. And that's the thing. It's like the new ones in and out, and then wait for it to, you know, figure its shit out, you know?
Yeah, that's a good way of going into it. But yeah, and if you can get one of these call guys and you jump in, you can get 2, 4, 10Xers. Like, just if you get right in on the call, like even that guy Ralph, 100% of his projects get wrecked. But if you get in for the first like 10 minutes, you can make 2, 3. I've even seen 14X, you know,
the biggest fucking Ponzi scheme in the world. But
yeah, crypto is by far one of the worst. You know, the funny thing, I was thinking about Ponzi.
But I was thinking about
meme coins for sure. But look, I was thinking about this. I want someone to convince me why regular stocks are not a Ponzi scheme, like just regular old stocks, right? Someone starts a company, Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg starts a company, gets a certain amount of stock for free, then brings in investment, sells some of that stock to someone else at a higher price than he got it, aka free. Then they build the project up, sell it to more investors at higher prices. Everyone's paying higher prices. Then they IPO, and everyone throws in a little bit of their stock that they got for real cheap relative to the IPO and dumps it into the open market. And then you have now your new buyers. They're all at higher prices than the last buyers. And then the whole entire goal is to build quote unquote shareholder value, aka make it so your shareholders can have the price go up. And because it's a security, it's a registered security, the SEC says this is legit. You've filed all the risk, announcements and and disclosures that are required for you to put this risk on asset into the global market. And the whole goal is make price go up. That's it. Meaning, who's the next guy that's going to buy the stock for a higher price so that they can sell it at a higher price? And then eventually the chart's going to turn over. And now that person who bought at the high is now losing money and waiting for it to go back.
I don't necessarily agree with that. Yeah, that's saying that the entire market's a Ponzi scheme, but that's not really what a Ponzi scheme is. These meme coins, the reason I think these meme coins are a Ponzi scheme, or they literally are a Ponzi scheme is that there isn't a company that they're building or any technology that they're building or anything that they're doing. They're literally just shilling these fucking memes that are a joke, and the ones that are actual Ponzi schemes they're just getting rugged on. They're just ripping all the money and the liquidity out of the market.
Well, rug pull is different. And I mean, you're right. The definition of a Ponzi is that the belief in the success of a non-existent enterprise is fostered by the payment of quick returns to the investors from the money invested by the latter. So I guess the key is like that it's non-existent. But I mean, who's to say that a meme is non-existent? And I mean, I guess the nature of existent is key, right? Because obviously Facebook exists. So as long as something quote unquote exists, you can sell it to the next person. But the idea of a Ponzi that I think I'm hinging on is payment of quick returns to the first investors from money invested by the later investors. And that's the key. Quick, I don't know if quick is
but also
really required for Ponzi.
But even those stuff, even like a meme coin, let's just say, trust me, I was the number one shit talker of meme coins. I didn't buy SHIB. Only time I bought Doge, well, actually, I bought Doge back in like 2017 because I didn't know anything. And then I spent $25 on it. It was worth $500, a few years later. But, and then I bought it when Elon shilled it at a penny and it mooned.
Yeah.
That was a good buy. But I was a big hater on Ponzi. I mean, on these meme coins, but like Wolf or like Brett, I don't think that that's necessarily a Ponzi scheme. Actually, I don't think that that's a Ponzi scheme because what they are building is a community, and that community has value, and they're rallying around this idea and the art and the assets. And it's like, what's considered, like even radical, right? You spend millions of dollars on art and creating these assets. Like, what are those? Those are nothing until they are something. Those are just, but they're considered IP, right? So all the Brett assets, all those videos, the engagement around that, the people that are, sponsoring, soccer tournaments and all that stuff, like that's the brand that you're building, and that actually has substance. And when you go around talking about it, people are like, oh yeah, Brett, like, yeah, I'm a big fan of that. And, creating a celebrity around a comic or an asset. It's kind of like, what's a celebrity, like what's Kanye West without his music? Like what's Kim Kardashian? Like they're just brands. They're like brand identities. And you could say that Kim Kardashian's one of the biggest businesses. You could probably IPO her brand, but it's just her, the fact that she's just a person. So I don't necessarily think that all crypto is a Ponzi scheme, but when I think the number was like 3 million coins now, just because like Pumped Off Fun is launching like 10,000 coins a day, where 99% of those are absolute fucking scams. This someone we're just talking about, that's a fucking scam. That thing went up. The devs pulled all their money out of it. That thing was just
it didn't get rugged. It didn't get rugged.
It didn't get rugged, but it got basically, I guarantee if you go look at those dev wallets, they're empty, or pretty low. So I think that's my definition. Maybe that is the definition of a rug, where you literally pull the liquidity out of it, whether it went from the top down to zero and they pulled the liquidity out of the liquidity pool, maybe not. But if all the devs sell their whole share, then it's basically the same thing as getting rugged.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, as long as, it rugged is when 100% of the liquidity gets taken out, but I think that, I stand a little bit corrected that, if it's really about a non-existent thing, like that's for sure a Ponzi, like Madoff, like he was selling nothing, it was vaporware. It didn't exist. And, he's just telling you that you're investing in something and then taking the money out. That's absolutely a freaking scam. At least with a meme coin, you're getting a token. And to your point, like that token gives you access, participation in a community. But also to your point, if somebody pulls all the liquidity out and craters the price and there's nothing left, then you've just been sold, absolutely nothing.
It was similar to the NFT phase. I mean, NFT, yeah, you have an NFT which you can do something with, but there was just so much hype on that shit. But you still have that asset, and you can still in your wallet, and it's as valuable as the next person who will buy it. Those could be argued are a Ponzi scheme, or they could be argued the exact argument that I just made about Brett, that it's not a Ponzi scheme. So I think this is just such uncharted territory that the risk that, high risk, high reward, just like this one we were just talking about, with the banana taped to wall, like that's high risk, but that could have gone to zero. And in fact, it did go way, way down. I almost thought about selling it at a loss, and instead I just sold it at a 2x,
Yeah. Well, that's the nature of the beast. I mean, obviously people are willing to jump in and take the risk, and, obviously high risk, high reward, potential, but a lot of the projects don't realize that. And then a lot of people that are listening to this podcast or interested in quote unquote investing, are accustomed to a type of investment where you put the money in and you can let it grow over time. And unfortunately with meme coins and a lot of crypto, you really can't take that angle. You got to proactively manage your account. For most investments, there are some that you can hold on to long term, but you also got to be willing to look at your positions and see them down. And I think a lot of people, I mean, I know anyone looking at their portfolio down is, not a good feeling, but they also have to understand with crypto in particular. And it's, I think, even just unique to crypto. I always say nothing moves like crypto, but we get these insane downside, movements, because that's the basis for these insane upside movements.
Yeah.
And so you'll see Bitcoin, with $1 billion in liquidations in a day across the crypto market, and Bitcoin down by, 25% over the course of a week. And then maybe a week later, it's up 30% from the point that it dumped. Like, that's crazy. It could happen in a day, and we've seen these God candles. We've seen $10,000 Bitcoin green candles. That's the type of stuff that's possible. And only because it can go down that far is why it can go up that far. And if you zoom out on the Bitcoin chart over the last 13 years, like, you can see that all those little dumps that were volatility of the price going from $1,000 to $100 on Bitcoin. Not, I actually was looking up the biggest dumps in the history of crypto, because I was like, this has got to be one of the biggest. This thing didn't even hit the radar of the biggest. In fact, there was the Mt. Gox hack on Bitcoin. When that was announced, the price of Bitcoin went down 99%. That would have been a great buy. Should have bought the dip on that one. But that's the type of volatility that exists in this market. If you look at the chart, you can't even see the Mt. Gox hack. It's not even. It's such a small thing on the chart, because now that Bitcoin's gone up so high, it compresses the previous price history down to like what looks like almost a flat line. You can't even see the volatility in the chart between $100 and probably $10,000. It's like almost a flat line. But, for the first 8 years or whatever with Bitcoin, that those were volatile times, where your bag could go up and down.
2011.
How many Bitcoins got taken?
I don't know the exact numbers. You could look it up. It's something insane, But I think it was more around the
1,000 Bitcoins were stolen.
How many? 100,000?
600,000 Bitcoins were stolen, and the platform went bankrupt in 2014.
And it was the other part of it was like, yeah, those coins were stolen, but like it created distrust in exchanges, and then it just made you question your whole reality of the rest of your bag. Like, you lost so much money as a consumer. Like, a lot of people probably panic sold and were just like, I have to just get what I can out of this thing. And then, of course, when the price starts cratering.
at today's value, that's $33 billion was stolen.
Crazy.
So, and not only was it stolen, but then it sent the price almost to zero.
Right.
So that's the level of volatility. But now at that level, it'd be interesting to see what was the date on that?
2011.
2000. What was the actual date? Does it say?
Let's see. It was a hack in 2011.
Let's see, date of Mt. Gox hack. June 13th, 2011. So let's see, on June 13, 2000. So let's say June 12th. Price of Bitcoin was $14. So you take $14, and really like 2 days before it was $23. But let's just say $14 on June 12th. And you take 600, did you say 600,000 Bitcoins? Yeah. So at the time, that was only $8.4 million worth of Bitcoin. But it was so consequential, 8.4 million, nothing, right? But at the time, that was, there was only so many coins mined, and that was a lot of money for sure. It always is a lot of money, millions of dollars. But the fact that 8.4 million is now worth 33 billion, like nobody back then could have ever imagined.
Did they ever catch the people or no?
They did. They caught one. They caught one of the guys, I believe, and they actually returned a bunch of Bitcoin. That's actually what just happened in this sell-off that they got. There's a lot of fear. Not this sell-off, but the one that happened a few weeks ago, or last month. Yeah, that they had returned, I think, like $6 billion worth of Bitcoin.
Yeah, so they caught these two Russian nationals who were charged with conspiring to launder 646,000 Bitcoins from their hack of Mt. Gox. But it's questionable whether they were the ones who actually hacked it. But I mean, it looks like potentially it was. Yeah, it says Alexander Vinnik, the Russian operator of the Bitcoin exchange BTCE, was arrested in Greece and indicted for laundering over $4 billion, including funds stolen from the hack of Mt. Gox. U.S. authorities accused Vinnik of using BTCE to launder money for individuals involved in crimes such as computer hacking and drug trafficking. They also linked him to the collapse of Mt. Gox, alleging that he laundered the stolen funds through BTCE and TradeHill, another exchange he owned. But I don't know if he was the guy who actually did the hack, but he was clearly.
Well, I'm sure there's a few people involved in such a crazy thing.
Yeah,
yeah, it's hectic. But look, the biggest sell-offs, are the biggest profit generating days ever. And so it reminds me of like boxing, when somebody like throws a punch at you, you're supposed to like lean into it. But like your natural thing is to like get away from the punch, but when you're getting like punched by the market, your natural thing is to like run away and to sell. But you got to lean into those things because those are the greatest opportunities that can happen, and to just always have some liquidity on the side for those moments. So you're not just fully extended at all times.
Yeah. Who said it? You should have 30% of your position should be in stable coins at all times. And that anytime your bags are up 100, 200, 300, 400%, like, dude, you got to take liquidity off those bags.
Right.
You just have to. And I've been like really, I'm looking at some of these projects and there's, they're up, 180, 100, 250%. And I'm like, I got to just sell half my position. I got to keep taking my gains so that I can invest it back in. Otherwise, it's going to go up. It's going to go down. It's going to go up. You're never going to continue to get more. You're never going to continue to grow. And like I had said in the beginning of the podcast was like, when it's red, your intuition is to just fucking sell and protect your investment. That's like, that's what your brain tells you to do. Like everything in your brain, your body Your soul is like, oh my God, I'm down. I'm losing my money. I got to protect my investment. I don't want it to go lower. But what you should be doing is if it's going down and you're down a lot, then you need to double down, lower your DCA so that when it goes up, your break even becomes that much lower and you gain that much more. And then you sell it back at where it originally was and you get your money back and you're just fucking in the green. And I think that's the hardest thing to do. Like a perfect example, I was just trading this coin and I bought it. It went up, came down like 30%. And so I doubled down and now it's back up and I just, made gains. And then I put a sell out where I want to sell it and I'm going to take my profits and run. And that's just like, you got to be able to think like that. And sometimes, and I said this in the previous podcast, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, you're the worst trader ever. I just friggin' exited out 79% friggin' loss. And then it friggin' goes back to where I bought it.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Like, oh my God, like I just didn't have the balls to wait another fucking hour. I just got spooked. It went down so much lower and everything in my body and my soul and my brain was like, I got to protect the last bit of this investment.
Yeah. Somebody actually said that they don't even sell when it goes to zero. They don't even sell it in case there's like a CTO revival for it. And then they just like maybe get like 10x off of their bag that went to zero.
Yeah. He goes X's or dust.
Yeah. I don't know. It's, you just learn a lot by doing it. I recommend everybody just get involved. It's like, you don't need to be playing with, $100,000 to do this stuff. You can just play with $100 and just learn a lot. Get into some of these meme coins so that you can get an understanding of trading and how markets work. And then, as you get more comfortable, you can take more risk. Don't risk more than you're willing to lose. It's kind of like going to Vegas. It's like, yeah, you could go and just take your life savings and go to the blackjack table. Or you could just say, hey, this is how much money I'm comfortable losing. And I'm going to go play around and have some fun and learn the game of blackjack. And then ideally, once I get really good at blackjack, I can bring a little more money with me and start increasing my bags so that I can, earn more money. But to start, just go figure out enough that you're willing to play around with and to learn. Because the one thing that is cool about the meme market is that it's the best education ever. Because you can play with coins, you can watch them go up a lot, you can watch them go down. You can chart them. You can start understanding the trends. You can start looking at these things of where you started and where you are and see what's happening in the different trend lines. And that's just like great education for trading. So when you're going to be trading, non-meme assets or even trading Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana, then you have an understanding of how these markets work.
Yeah.
That's good advice.
Yeah, it's
for
great.
sure. Well, probably by next podcast, we'll be talking more about Packet and Project Good News and some of the exciting stuff that's happening over the next 2 weeks. So
I'm so fired up on that project. It's funny, the community just like making up all these rumors about what's happening, but it's just like the most exciting thing. And I've just been able to talk to some of like my close constituents that have been, big supporters, and just listening to people's reactions to it and like the real hitters and how they react to it. I'm fired up on this thing.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, like I said, I was talking to one of our community members today. He's asking me, trying to get information. I got to be careful with my words. And I said, it's a game changer. And he goes, well, if it's a game changer, I mean, he's starting to rattle off all these different like conspiracy theories about what it is. And I was like, I ain't going to give you nothing today, but stick around.
Stay tuned, folks.
Stay tuned. You got to wait 2 weeks. He goes, well, if it's a game changer, really, then there has to be a game changer to the price, because if it's Project Good News, but the price only goes up like 3%, that's not very interesting. I was like, price is one of the major items that we've been focused on. So, I feel like that's probably where we needed the most work on the project and where I felt personally limited, the most. And so, and he's like, well, are you going to have, some buyers, some people who are there, to buy Project Good News? I was like, indeed, we got that one solved as well. So, that's exciting to know that we've attacked this thing with our hearts, our minds, our resources, to make this possible. And we've been doing this for 6 years now. Packet's 2 weeks away from its 5th birthday. It took us almost a year to even just get it live.
And what a better way to celebrate it, right?
What's that?
I said, and what a better way to celebrate it.
Honestly.
Yeah, what a better way to celebrate Packet's 5th birthday, because at the end of the day, there's two sides to Packet. There's the cryptocurrency side, and then there's the network and the vision of what the project does. And the vision of what the project does in the network, it's actually never changed. That's always been our key focus. And our focus with Project Good News was always, how do we stimulate the community? How do we activate utility? And how do we ensure that the network is continuing to grow? And those three pieces are really the parts that have been missing from the story. And I think those are the pieces that make a project successful. And so without those things, without community, without utility, without growth, what are you doing? You're not moving forward. And so this is the the change that we always, well, I never wanted it to be change. It was more just like changing the status quo from where we have been, and taking bold action to make sure that we can achieve that vision that we set out to achieve when we started from the beginning. Because that vision that we set out to achieve hasn't changed. It's not going to change after Project Good News either. Project Good News is just a catalyst for that to occur, for that to be realized.
Yeah, allows us to actually do it,
Yeah.
And, we found, the places in which things needed to be fixed, and we're fixing the glitch.
Yeah, fixing the glitch for sure.
Game on, baby.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, been real. Nice hanging with you, bros.
Always. We'll catch you guys on the next one next week.
Indeed.
All right, boys. Later. It was a sell the news type thing. Yeah. I bought it. I mean, I think I just broke even on it since it had a nice little. But
it's gonna do its thing. But like I said, there's different strategies, and so having assets that you're willing to be short on, assets that you're willing to be medium range, and really the only thing you should be long on is Bitcoin, Ethereum, and maybe Solana. Like, in my opinion, people might have different opinions on that, but I think those are the only 3 assets that by Thanksgiving of next year, those are ones you should still be holding. And
I don't know though. Like, look, dude, here's the deal. The projects that have been around for like a couple months, they're all going to go, every project's going to have its day. And I believe that, like, if a project can withstand the volatility of like a 3-month chart, like, look, perfect example is Mumu. Okay. If you're like our buddy who got into Mumu at, 503, okay? It had 5 zeros, 0.00003, okay? That's where he bought it. And then it went to 0.00004. I mean, dude, that's like fucking 80%, almost 100% fucking down. What he did is he just kept buying it because he believed in it all the way down, and he brought his DCA from where fucking all-time high down to like kind of lower, right under the mids, and he invested $7,000. I mean, that ain't no chump change. And he did it over 3 months long. Now his 7K is fucking worth 60K. And so I feel like every project is eventually going to have its day. If it's like a real project, like a PopCat or a Whiff or a fucking Bread or, Wolf. I mean, a Wolf will have its day. Yeah. It's been the fucking, the hardest one that we've had to take is Wolf, because we thought it was going to go fucking continue up, but it's just, we bought it and it's just been going down. But dude, if you're accumulating Wolf as it goes down to the all-time lows, when it has its day, whether it goes up to 200, 300, $500,000, $500 million, $1 billion, $2 billion, like, dude, you're going to have, crazy gains. And I feel like every project has to go, it will go up, it's got to come down, and it's got to go back up. And if you just draw your lines, your little squigglies on the charts, and you find those little places that they're going to hit, you can make good money. But if you just throw it into something that's been around for a long enough time, especially in like the meme world, it will have its day, I believe.
Yeah, but we all know that crypto works in cycles. Like we're in a bullish cycle right now. The bull market, in my opinion, hasn't even started yet. Like that, generally speaking, or historically speaking, the bull run begins around like October, November of this year. And so like that would be the beginning of the bull market. But by October, November of next year, we're going to be entering a bearish cycle. Now, maybe it'll go down and it can come back up, or maybe this whole cycle theory ends and I'm full of shit. But just looking historically, by next year, you're going to see a lot of people that made a lot of money, hopefully us as well. And you're going to go and see the retail people who now consider themselves experts. And you're going to get your Uber driver pitching you on their newest meme coin they bought. And that's about the time that you need to consolidate into assets that can withstand the bear market. Because if you had Bitcoin at the all-time high in the last season, it was what, $59,000, and you just did nothing and you just went and took a vacation, didn't look at your bag for 2 years, you're back to that point. And that will happen. The new all-time low, in my opinion, will be $60,000. That'll be the bottom of the market in this next cycle. And who knows where that next all-time high will be. But like that's generally speaking how this market has worked historically, and I anticipate will be the same moving forward.
And that is also given that there aren't any like forces beyond our control, like disasters or wars or
I don't know. I mean, I think even wars might even make it go up. Like it's crazy shit that happens in the world. Like if you remember when Trump got COVID last season, that was the catalyst that made Ethereum go parabolic, So it's these catastrophes or these things.
It went down and then it went parabolic. It did
a fake out.
A fake out, but it went absolutely parabolic. So it's these things, like you're even looking at Russia wanting to, make crypto legal. Like that just came out. Like that's a huge thing where, now since the U.S. government has kicked Russia out of the SWIFT, and they've threatened that if China goes and attacks Taiwan, that they're going to put sanctions on China. And, China might be like, all right, well, fuck you. I'm not going to be I don't even need it anymore. We're going to just use crypto, and that could start a war, and that's going to be a whole thing. And that could actually be a catalyst that goes and shoots crypto to the moon.
Wasn't there sanctions on China when Trump was president?
Well, there's different levels of sanctions. Just like taking, a diplomat's bank account away, and and then there's like removing their SWIFT codes from the monetary system. But the problem with, some of these strategies is that while it was viewed as negative to choke off these major countries' access to transacting US dollars, it also just ends up isolating America. We're going to be, just us and a small number of allies while, using US dollars while everyone else moves over into the BRIC system. And all of a sudden you've created, a dynamic where the US is losing its power by people not transacting in the currency. So it becomes extraordinarily isolationist to take those strategies abroad. And it just makes you question, like, what is the right move at the end of the day? Obviously diplomacy is going to always win. I mean, if everyone gets pissed off at the other person and launches bombs and isolates, their country more and more, you end up like North Korea. So when, that's not good. And who knows, that the diplomacy side of this, ultimately and hopefully prevails, and it takes good leadership to do it. and different strategies. Some people like the strongman strategy of Trump. Some people would like a better diplomacy strategy to avoid kind of some of these big stick warmongering and threats of attack, ground invasions and missile attacks. It's just like really insane. So, but at the end of the day, people are going to transact, commerce is going to continue, and digital currency. I mean, look, the thing that trips me out about people poo-pooing digital currency is like, how do you think you're transacting right now? What do you think a wire transfer is? You think they're actually putting your, US dollars in an envelope and flying it through the air? Like, no, it's a digital.
Or even your debit card. Where does the money come out of? Your freaking bank account.
You don't even, the money, it's not like the money moves. There's no money it moves. It's just a digital ledger. It's a ledger. Like when you charge your credit card, it's literally a loan between you and your credit card company. It's just a transaction on a ledger. What do you think it is when you send Bitcoin from point A to point B? It's just a transaction on a ledger. The only difference between when you send send Bitcoin from point A to point B is it actually moves. You can't send Bitcoin on credit. That's not like a thing. And so when you're spending money on your credit card, you're literally spending money that you don't have physically. You could have it in another bank account. You're obviously, liable to pay it, and maybe you're rich and it's not a big deal to pay that credit card bill, but like you're not physically spending your money when you're spending a credit card money. So Bitcoin is incredibly powerful, and cryptocurrency in general is incredibly powerful because you are only spending currency that you physically have. You're transacting digital tokens or coins that you have in your physical custody and spending them. And we're seeing, a lot of crypto projects that are getting credit cards that back them. I mean, even Wolf got a credit card backing it. It's like kind of this easy thing. It's like, I mean, you got to be an idiot to go buy a cup of coffee with Wolf tokens, but you can do it, and that's pretty cool. And obviously with where Packet is heading, the big idea that we just announced this week is the revolution. And I'm like working on the website right now and writing about it. And I'm just like, fuck, this is a straight up revolution. This idea that you can download an app, install an app onto your computer, your phone, and your laptop, and get paid for providing resources to the Packet network. And then you can use those resources to buy content, like that's the whole story we've been trying to tell for the last half decade. And obviously it's incredibly powerful because like at the end of the day, what are we all trying to do? Everyone's trying to get paid, and if you can make passive income, I mean, what better kind of income is there? You want to go work in a, full-time job, or you want to make money while you sleep? I think most people would opt for, making money while they sleep. So the whole idea with the Packet network is how to be able to monetize people, internet resources, turn that into cash. And if people are getting paid for providing some resource that is relatively passive, then you have a higher propensity to use that money for things that you need, or things that you don't need, right? Because there's a barrier to entry. Like if I try and sell you a movie and you already have a Netflix subscription, you might be like, I don't really need to buy a movie right now because I got 10,000 movies on Netflix. Like, why do I got to pay you $10 for this movie when I'm paying $16 a month or $22 a month for Netflix? But if you made, $16 that week or that month, just doing some passive thing, it's just sitting in your account as passive income, and someone asks you to pay $16, you might be like, yeah, whatever, that sounds cool, try it out, because it's like free money. And that's the power of digital currency. Like,
well, and I also think that like what's going to change the game is like with Packet is, your TV is on and it's, earning Packet. And then when you want to buy something, you can just buy that, like, for example, like my son's watching the Ghostbusters movies. Well, Netflix just has the newest Ghostbusters movie. There's there's 4 other Ghostbuster movies. He doesn't want to start Ghostbusters series on the newest one. He wants to start from the very first one in 1985 or whenever that first one came out. So what do? You go onto Amazon or Prime, and it's $3.99.
Or iTunes, yeah.
Well, yeah, or Apple or whatever. I usually just do it on, on Prime, $3.99. Watches that one. Next one, $3.99. Next one, $3.99. The next thing you know, you just spent $20. If my TV was earning me $20, I could have just paid for it.
Yeah.
But now it's coming out of my pocket. So that's like the revolution, is making it so that people can just have their TV running that starts earning them, currency, and then they can pay for their content. Whether and the next level will be if they can pay for Amazon or Netflix or whatever through the TV that's already freaking on. Just by
That's what I think is the revolution. I truly think that will be the revolution, and actually Samsung, and everyone like poo-pooed it again. It was like NFTs, where Samsung was like, hey, we're going to have an NFT, I don't know, library or whatever. You're going to be able to buy NFTs, have NFTs on your TV. And it was just a weird announcement. It was like at the end of the bull market. And I'm sure it never happened, but like, that wasn't the cool thing. The cool thing was the idea that you can have a wallet on your Samsung TV.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the revolution right there. Cause like, to your point, Jer, if you have a wallet, okay, now we got a wallet. So now we can do all these different things to earn money into that wallet, whether you're straight up crypto trading on your TV, or it's some DePIN, decentralized infrastructure project that's paying you for providing resources to the network, that's earning you currency. And then if you have the ability to then take that currency and pay for things, pay your Netflix bill with it, pay your Amazon grocery bill with it, like whatever, right? But if that money can come in and subsidize, like, that's just a game changer for people. And we're talking about how, the expenses of living have gone up dramatically. I actually saw a really interesting video the other day, and it was a guy who, he said, like, I think it was 2020 or 2021, he had bought 45 items from Amazon, through Amazon, like grocery or whatever it is. And he like went into his account and saw that order, and it said like, hey, do you want to reorder? Or you just click and it will just order all 45 items that he bought. Mm-hmm. And he had paid $125 in 2021 for those 45 items. And when it reset and said, hey, we're reordering them, it was $450.
Wow.
The exact same 45 items, So it's like straight up inflation, 3x, right? His grocery bill went up 300% in the last 3 years. So if you can take even just any income, even if it's nominal, even if it's $10 a week, and it can just accumulate into that account, and then you can use that to pay for groceries or content or pay your Netflix bill, whatever. Like, every dollar counts in this marketplace, and I think people take for granted, be like, oh, I don't need $10. I don't need $15, but you're complaining when your grocery bill goes up by 20, 30, 50, 300%. So it's like, if you can have any types of passive income that can subsidize that increase in cost of living, why not? Even if it kicks the cost down by 10, 20%, that's 10, 20% less that's coming out of your actual paycheck,
And the thing that everyone poo-pooed about NFTs, and it's funny because everyone's like, yeah, what's a JPEG? Who cares about a JPEG? But what you don't realize is that every single one of those movies could be an NFT, and you can have fractionalized ownership of that NFT, and you can create a whole waterfall of how money gets distributed with that NFT. Because an NFT is just digital ownership of something. And so like, it's this weird concept of just being too early to the party. And people are like, oh, that's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. Like even the internet, you look at these people back in the day, they're like, why do I need the email when I have a fax machine? It's like, Yeah, well, now you look back and you're like, slap your forehead. You're like, of course. But at that time, it's a good question. It's like, why do I need that? I can already send messages across the world, pretty quickly. And so this NFT idea that just like everyone calls a scam, but that's the funny thing about this Avalanche thing. It's like every single one of those license plates are RWAs, or basically NFTs. It's like, now you have the ownership that used to take. I mean, how many times have you been to the DMV? Like the revolution of what Avalanche just did is like, anybody, no, most people that are watching this have been to the DMV. It's a fucking nightmare, and shit takes weeks to get done and like hours of sitting around. And now you can transfer ownership instantly on a blockchain. Like, that's insane. Like, to be able to identify your ownership on a blockchain, and that if you're going to go buy my car, I'm literally transferring that ownership into your wallet, and now you're the owner of that car.
Yeah,
That's a revolution.
That's a revolution, and where it needs to go. And obviously most governments are afraid for it to go there, but when that NFT is attached to your identity, right? It's attached to your ability to vote.
Yep.
So your citizenship is like defined by that, and creating honest elections, fair, honest, fast, auditable elections. Like, these are things that, especially, the MAGA Republicans have been railing on for the last 4 years about dishonest elections. Like, okay, let's put it all on a blockchain, and let's do it. I mean, I think everyone's afraid of what happens when voting gets really easy, because
or really honest.
Yeah, really easy or really honest, but like that's where it needs to go, and that's where all the people talking shit about NFTs, like, you're going to look back on this 10 years, whatever from now, and you're going to see your whole life is an NFT. And, we've already seen it happen with the Apple Wallet, right? It's like you're getting digital certificates for going to a concert, or airplane tickets, show up in your Apple. You can add it to your Apple Wallet. Well, soon that Apple Wallet, and which has your credit cards in it, which has everyone's getting accustomed to Apple Pay. But yeah, soon you're going to be able to use your identity NFT to vote, get on, board an airplane to actually, I just saw that they're getting ready to allow you to have your driver's license in your Apple Wallet.
Right. Yeah, I
You
did
don't
hear
need to have your driver's license, your physical driver's license anymore. You can just have it.
And then the next thing will be your passport. And you can travel international with just your phone.
The trouble is self-custody. And I think that's the hurdle. It's why crypto is still scary, is like, what happens when you get your, phone stolen? Did someone just steal your identity? Like, there's a lot of problems with it that need to be solved, as far as, having a regular citizen, or, my grandma having to, do self-custody. Like, she's not going to do that. That's going to make her head explode against the wall. So like, we have to figure out that hurdle before we can actually do it. But the fundamentals are there, and the foundation is being laid out, and this railroad is being built, and we're on that train going down that railroad. And so
the thing is, though, look, self-custody, obviously, even Trump said he believes in self-custody. Kind of crickets from the Democrats, but I'd love to hear their position on crypto. But yeah, self-custody is obviously a big deal. But the other side of it is that if it's on a blockchain, then you kind of don't need everything to be self-custody, because you just need to be able to point to the transaction ID that represents your identity, and at least it's provable in an immutable ledger, right? So the thing is like, things like your identity don't necessarily need to be a self-custody NFT or your birth certificate or your passport or something like that. There is a centralized entity that could sit and use the Avalanche blockchain, or could use the Ethereum blockchain to perform those functions. Even a government can use a blockchain to perform the functions, and it doesn't mean that it's corrupt, because it's on an immutable ledger. Like, that's the problem, is people distrust the government because you send in your vote and they say it counted, but like, did it really count? Because like you didn't really know other than just getting a confirmation that your vote was
And
counted.
a lot of times those votes don't show up until a couple days after the friggin' election's the voting's over. So doing it this way would be instant calculations.
It has to get here. Like it literally has to get here. It's actually it's just totally ridiculous that it's not. There's something else. Like you got to wrap some tinfoil around your head to try and figure out why we're not voting on a blockchain right now. Somebody's got a problem with the truth. There's no question about it, because if we didn't have problems with the truth, then we'd be doing it. But you know,
I don't necessarily agree with that.
The same people on the Republican side that are railing on fair elections are, you know, also lobbying to make it harder to vote and making it, you know, so that certain underprivileged communities can't even, you know, vote because they're making it possible. So,
but I think it's also that, like, who's running our government? These people are fucking old. Like, they're old. I'm, you know, not the youngest person in the world, but like, this shit's complicated to me. I'm still trying to figure out a lot of this stuff. And I've been in this space for fucking 7 years. So it's like these people that are just figuring out, they maybe have their first like Bitcoin ETF, you know, is the first exposure they have to Bitcoin. Like, those are the guys that are going to be making laws about how to do fucking blockchain voting. Like, this is the problem. We need to get these people out of, there needs to be shorter terms for our government so that young people can come in and actually run this country with some real technology and innovation.
That's a fact.
Thing is that I feel like the younger generation doesn't want to fucking touch this shit with a 10-foot pole. They're just like, hey, I can make my money and move on. Most people, it's the times are different than back, you know, where like it was noble to be in the government. It was noble to run for office. Now it's like, dude, you're fucking just jumping into the cesspool.
Look,
you know? That's because the cesspool never leaves. Like, it's a cycle of cesspool.
I don't disagree, but it's like,
but if you had shorter terms, if you had people that literally, you got 4 years as a senator, you got, you know, or 8 years, or even 10 years, you know, like 10 years that you get to do it, and you're cycling these people out. Eventually, there's gonna be new blood, and why people don't want to get into that.
Fuck the terms. It should be an age limit. You can't be over 60.
No, it should be a term. It should be a certain amount of time that you spend in that seat. You're an elected official. You are being elected. It's different than being like the, you know, the Supreme Court, which is a whole nother fucking can of worms that should change as well. A lifetime on the Supreme Court is insane. But you're being elected, and you should be able to run and campaign. But eventually, you need to get the fuck out of there, and you need to let new people come in and take those seats. And I think that if you can cycle people out over a decade, then, you know, if you can't be a teacher for that, you know, you're getting your tenure as a teacher, like you should be getting a tenure as a congressman, and get out and let new people. And there are people running. It's just they're so far low on the totem pole, and the people are just supporting the people at the top that are able to get their special interests done. That, like, those are the people that just remain in office, and people, the little people, get disinterested because they're like, why am I competing with this guy who's been in bed with these corrupt corporations forever? They know those guys, they're backing them with
all the money,
hundreds of millions of dollars. Then it's like, I don't even stand a chance. Why would I even try? I'll go be a TikTok star.
You're right. It has to be. I mean, I think it's both. I think it's term limits and age limits for sure. I think it has to be, because to your point, Josh, like if, and same thing, that's why I think the term limits, I actually love what Biden suggested about term limits for 18-year term limits for Supreme Court justices that he just proposed. That's brilliant, because then you have some certainty around when these justices are going to be reelected. And it doesn't make it so that each presidential election is so like random, you know, like all of a sudden some, you know, elected president could reelect the entire Supreme Court, you know, and with a lifetime, you know, situation. I mean, what if there was some like crazy black swan event and somebody, you know, bombed out the State of the Union address and killed off a bunch of justices. What is that president just get to elect all 9 justices? I mean, it's just the whole thing doesn't make any sense
Yeah,
that
it's
that's how
insane.
it's set up, you know? So I feel like there has to be. I mean, the problem with that one is that one's actually in the Constitution, and so you're going to have, you know, the right, the conservative right wing that are like hardline, you know, well, they like to interpret the Constitution when it favors them, but for the most part, that one's pretty much like cut and dry.
It was fucking drafted so long ago. It's like
It's crazy. It's just crazy that we're still like, you know, but you know what? The thing is, it's drafted so long ago, but also during simpler times. And so I feel like there's something like pure around that. I think a lot of people agree that there's like a purity around it. But the other side of that is that like the world's changing and we have to be able
You've
to
amended the Constitution. I mean, women voting and like all the, I mean, there's a lot of stuff.
There are a lot of things that just are like so antiquated around how humanity operated during that era of time, 300 years ago or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So I feel like we got to, you know, reevaluate things in context. Easier said than done.
Yeah.
Hopefully some of these things can, you know, we could chip away with them. I love what you just said too, Josh, about you know, the fact that because there's so many freaking fossils in our legislative branches, that yeah, you know, getting into a digital, you know, realm with blockchain is, it's just speaking a foreign language, you know, just like probably getting a cell phone 20 years ago, 25 years ago was like speaking foreign language. So it is, you know, part of evolution. I think 10 years from now, blockchain will just be so obvious that, you know, it'll be a foregone conclusion. But the next 10 years are going to be, you know, revolutionary. And, you know, people listening to this podcast are at this incredible inflection point for, you know, both American and world history, where there's opportunity to take action to, you know, innovate. And if you weren't on, in particular, the crypto bandwagon for the last cycle, then you're staring down the barrel of, you know, opportunity here that, you know, you just don't see very often. It'd be like going back to the year 1999 and getting to invest in Amazon stock, even though it was like $1, you know, even though like after Y2K, it like plummeted 80% and everyone was like, Amazon's, you
I'll
know,
never buy a tech stock ever again.
yeah. And those are the people that are like absolutely the richest people on the planet, right? So, you know, that's the opportunity that we have, and it's impossible to see the future, but you just got to look at trends and, you know, make bets. And, you know, doesn't mean that you empty out your entire bank account into it, but definitely getting some exposure at these levels is smart, you know?
Yeah, well, we'll end it on I'm actually launching a crypto 101 webinar. So we'll put the link in the description here. If anybody wants to learn just the basics, you know, this is for the newbies that are scared, that are probably trying to buy their first crypto. I have a lot of friends that have been hitting me up and they're like, hey, I want to get in, but I don't know anything. And so yeah, if anybody wants to jump in, it's totally free. We'll put the link in the description, and you can jump in and just learn the basics, get your feet wet.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Love it.
Dope. All right, y'all. Well, nice chatting. Everybody have a nice night and or nice day or whenever you're listening to this, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Peace out.
Laters.